connect our app to Firebase, first we need to go to the tools and click on Firebase option, and here we need to specify what kind of Firebase service we want to use for our app. So here we are going to use this authentication using email and password. So click on this authentication and you will be presented with this email and password authentication option. Click on this. Now here is few options. First we need to connect our application to the Firebase. So click on connect to Firebase. It will open the browser, and here you need to log in with your Google account. So guys, if you don't have Google account or Gmail account, create it and connect to your Firebase. Now you need to select your account. So click on your logged in account or log into new account. Now you need to give the access to the Firebase. Click on allow. Okay, it says you have successfully logged into your Firebase. You have successfully connected your account to an Android Studio. Now if you click on the Firebase, you will have the option to go to console. So it will open the Firebase website, and you can see in the top right corner there is one option to go to the console. Okay, so in the console you can control your application, you can customize your application, and so many things you can do with Firebase. Okay, but for now we are only interested in, we are not going to do anything in console for now. So I'll just go to the Android Studio, and now you'll see you have few options to create the new Firebase project. And you may see here I have already connected 2 more apps with my Firebase account. You may not have any right now because you are doing it for the first time, so don't worry, and just now click on connect to the Firebase. It will show the dialog here connecting to the Firebase. It will take few seconds. Once your app is connected, it will display the connected message here, and after that you need to follow the step 2, and you need to click on the add dependency to the app. And once the dependencies libraries are added to our Android application, it will display the dependencies set up correctly. Okay, so I have already done that, so it is showing the dependencies are set up correctly. So you need to do that and sync the Gradle file. Okay, once the Gradle file is synced, we are good to go. Okay, so I hope you can do that. Now we are going to implement this register application, so that we let user to type the name, email, password, and we're gonna store that to our Firebase database. So you may see here I have added one more component that I forgot to add, that is progress bar. So once the user fill in the data and click on register, we are going to display some progress bar here, so that user uh, understand that some background process is going on. So if it takes more than a few seconds, then user won't feel that the UI is freezed or something. Okay, so initially this progress bar will be hidden, so let me set the visibility of this. So if I go to visibility, I can set it to invisible. Okay, so now if I go to the register.java, I have created few variables. So these are the variables that we required, so you go ahead and create it. For the simplicity, I have already created here. So if you see the edit text, we have full name, email, password, and phone number. For button, we have register button, login button, and important is this Firebase auth. Okay, so this Firebase auth class is provided by the Firebase, using which we can register the user. So that's why we need the instance of this class, and we have also created the progress bar variable. So below in the onCreate method, I have connected our variable to the XML resources. So you know the drill. We have full name, email, password, phone number, button, and all the things are connected to our resources on XML file using find by ID. I hope you can do that. So I don't need to explain anything. And here, this is the important part. So if you see fauth equals to Firebase auth.get instance. So what we are doing here is we are getting the current instance of the database from the Firebase, so that we can perform the various operation on the database. Okay, so below this, now we are going to write the actual code that is going to register the user into the Firebase. Okay, so the main thing that we need to understand here is that once the user fill the data here in the edit text form field, we are going to let the user click on this register button, and once the register button is clicked, we are going to validate the data. Okay, if the email is entered properly or not, if the password is less than 6 character or not, and so on. So to do the validation, we are going to need to handle the register click event. Okay, so we need to handle the click event, so that can be handled by using the set on click listener. So when the register button is clicked, we are going to set on click listener new on click listener, and inside the on click we are going to perform all the operation. Okay, so first thing I'm gonna do here is I'm going to get the value that has been entered in the email and password field. So those both values are string, so I'm gonna get that. So first one is email, and that will be um, we are going to get that from the email field. So email get text, and we need to convert that to the string because initially it will be as a object, so we need to convert to the string, and I will trim the data. Okay, just to format the data. So string, second thing we need is password from the password field, so password get text the to string dot trim. Okay, so now we need to validate the data that has been saved in email and password. So first thing we need to check is if the value is entered or not. If it is null or the email field is empty, then we are not going to let the user register the account. Okay, we need that value because it is required, right? So to check if it is empty or not, we need to use one more class called text utils. Okay, and it has one method called empty is empty. So inside this I'm going to pass the email string, and if this is true, that means user have not entered any value in the email field. Okay, so I'm gonna display the error to the user that the email field is required. So we can set that by using email variable. Okay, and set error method. So I'll say email is required. Okay, and I'm gonna return this. If we are also going to check the same thing for the password as well, so if the password is empty, we'll display the error to the user. Okay, so I'll pass the password here, and password field set error, and I'll say password is required. Similarly, I said that we must use password more than 6 character long. Okay, so I'm gonna check the length of the password is greater than 6, sorry, less than 6, then I'm gonna display the error to the user that password must have 6 or more character long. Okay, so password must be greater or equals to 6 characters. Okay, so these are the error that we are going to display to the user. So if all of these condition is passed, that means the data are valid and we can actually start registering the user. Okay, so right now here I'm gonna display the spinner to the user, that progress bar, letting know the user that we have started the process of registration. Okay, so progress bar that set visibility. Remember that we have made this progress bar invisible in the UI, so I'm gonna make this visible here. We can use view.visible method or properties. Okay, now we'll register the user Firebase. Okay, so for that we need to use Firebase object instance. So, and we need to use create user with email and password method. So here we need to pass two things. First is username or email, and second is password. Now we need to add some event listener so that we will get to know if the registration is successful or not. Okay, for that we need to use add on complete listener method, and inside this we need to create new on complete listener, and here we'll check if the registration is successful or not. So the process of registering the user is called as task here. So if the task is successful, that means we have successfully created the user. If not, then we have encountered some error. So what we can do is we can display that error to the user. So if the account is created, I'm gonna display that user is created to the user, and I'm gonna redirect user to the main activity. If not, I'm gonna display whatever the error has occurred to the user, right? So we can use if else condition here. So if task is successful, that means we have created the user successfully, otherwise some error occurred. So inside this I'm gonna first display the message to the user that we have successfully created the user. So user created. Okay, and I'm going to send the user to the main activity. So to do that, we need to start the new activity, and inside this we need new intent. From the current app context, I'm going to send user to the main activity like this. Okay, otherwise I'll display message to the user saying that some error is occurred, and I'm going to attach the exception that we get with the message. Okay, error message. Okay, so this will handle the user creation, but before doing this, what we need to do is we need to check if the user is already logged in or not. Okay, so if the user is already logged in, or he has already created the account before, and coming second time or returning user, then we need to send them to the main activity. So there is no point of displaying register or login form to the user who is already logged in. Okay, so that can be checked by using a special method in our Firebase auth class. So let me use the fauth dot get current user. So we are getting the current user object. If the current user object is present, that means user is already logged in, so we don't need to display anything to them. We'll just simply send them to the main activity. So if the current user is not null, then we'll send them to the main activity. So to do that, I'll just copy this from here, paste it here, and finish it. Okay, yeah. So this will handle all the condition that might occurred in the registration process. So now we can actually run the device, run this app, and see if it is working or not. So let me connect my device first. Okay, my device is connected and it is displaying here. But before actually running this into my device, what I'm gonna do is I'm going to set the usage permission here. So we need to have the internet usage permission from the devices. So let me set that internet. Okay, now our application can use the internet from the device. Firebase.google.com. Right, so let me go to console from here. Okay, so this is our app project overview, And inside this sign in method, okay, in the develop authentication, inside this sign in method, we need to enable this email and password. So initially it will be in disable state. Okay, just click on this enable button and click on save. Now we can actually start saving the user into the Firebase database. So I can run this app now. So let me run this and see if it is working or not. Okay, if we have programmed everything correctly here, it should work. If not, we'll figure it out. Okay, so the app is running. Okay, now the app is running, and now let me simply click on register and see what happens. So you can see some error is displayed in the form, email is required. Okay, so let me register to this app and see if it is working or not. So I'll use some name and email. So okay, I'll give the password. Okay, I'll just give the password of 3 character and see if it is checking the validation or not. Okay, so now if I click on register, it should display the error. Yeah, and it says the password must be greater or equals to 6 characters. Okay, that is working fine. So let me make the password 6 character and click on register, and we'll see what happens. So you can see the spinner is running, and you can see the user created message, and we're actually on the main activity. So in the main activity, I have given this message, welcome to the dashboard, and some logout button is given. So if I go to activity main and display the preview, you can see this text view and this button. So in this button, I have given one onClick method. Okay, and I have created that method to the main activity. So inside main activity, I have created this method called Logout, which is our onClick name. And if you click here and click on onClick event handler or something, otherwise I'll just show you what to do. So I have just changed it, and now if I click on this red button, it will give the option to create logout one view. So you just go ahead and create the logout method in the main activity, and inside this we need to call this get instance dot sign out method. It will do the logout of the user that is currently logged into our application, and once the user is logged out, I'm sending them to the login activity. So that's why I have started new activity here. From the current class, I'm sending them to the login class. Okay, so let me show you what happens if I click on logout in my application. So let me go to the app, and if I click on logout, they are redirected to the email login activity. Okay, so that's what this start activity is doing here, and this sign out method. Okay, so that's how we register the user using the Firebase. Now we'll implement the login activity, and we'll let the user log in using the right username and password. Okay, so if I show you the activity login XML file, here also I have added one progress bar that I might not have included while creating this UI. So if I set it to the visible, you can see the progress bar. Okay, so you just go ahead and add this progress bar here and set that to the invisible, because initially we are not displaying the progress bar, right? So inside the login activity, I have already created few variable. So for edit text, we have email and password. For login, I have login button, text view, create button, progress bar, and Firebase auth. Okay, so these are the variable we need to implement the login activity. And as you know, we need to connect this to the XML resources. So that's what I have done here. So just like in register option, once the user click on register, we were doing all the validation and we were letting user to register in the database. Simply like that, we are going to do the same thing here. We are going to validate the user's input once the user click on login, and we are going to check the email and password to the Firebase database, and if the information is correct, we are going to let them go to the main activity. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to implement the set OnClickListener in our login button. So set OnClickListener, new OnClickListener. Okay, so inside the OnClick, I'm going to copy and paste same thing from the register class. So these are the same thing. We are going to get the email and password field, and we are going to validate if it is correct or not, and we are also going to validate the length of the password. So I better copy this from the here there to here for the simplicity, and import the class. So this is the same thing. Now we are going to authenticate the user. So to authenticate the user, we need to use this email and password. So I am using this auth class object, and I'm gonna use the sign in with email and password method of the Firebase. So inside this, I need to pass two arguments, that is email and password, and I need one event handler. So I'll add the add on complete listener, and I'll create new on complete listener. And inside this, we need to check if the login is successful or not. Okay, so this task will determine if the login is successful or not. So if task is successful, then we have successfully logged in the user. So I'll copy the same message from here, and instead of displaying user is created, I'll say, and I need to change this to the current activity, that is login. Okay, and instead of saying user is created, I'm gonna say logged in successfully. Okay, yeah. So this is how we are going to display the toast message to the user when he's successfully logged into the application, and we are redirecting them to the main activity. If not, then some error is occurred, right? It might be email is not right, it might be password is not correct, or password is incorrect. So whatever the error message that I'm going to display. Okay, so for that I can use the same toast message. So instead of writing that, I'm gonna copy from here, Control C, and I'm gonna paste it to the, and I'll change this current activity to login. Okay, so this is how we do it. Now if I rerun the app, we must be able to log into our application. So let me run the app. Okay, so let me go to the register. Okay, so this text view is not working. If I click on this, I'm not going to the login activity. So let me fix that quickly. So in the register.java, I have created one separate variable for that text view that was called mLogin button. So I'm going to display the OnClickListener on that button, on that text view. So whenever we click on that, we'll be uh, redirecting to the login activity. So I'll set OnClickListener, new OnClickListener, and on click I'm going to start the activity that will go to the login activity. So let me start that, and I'll send them to the login activity. Okay, so similarly in the login button, if I show you the login UI file, here we have create account text view, right? So whenever we click on this create account text view, we should be able to go to register activity. So I'm gonna set that as well. So if I go here, and Here I can see M register button is there, so I'm going to set the OnClickListener on that. Sorry, not in this, in here. So here it is called create button. Okay, so I'm gonna set the same thing, so better I copy from here. So from register to here I'm gonna paste that, and instead of this login button I'll use the create button, right? So let me paste that, and I'm gonna go to register activity, register class. Okay, so this should enable the text view on both login and register activity. We'll see that once the app is running. So now if I click on this, I'm redirected to the login activity, and if I click on create account, I'm going back to the uh, register activity, right? So I'm going to display if this email and password, sorry, if this login activity is working or not. Let me insert my email that I used to register. So okay, and I'll set the password. I think that was 123123. Okay, now I'll click on login and see if it is working or not. Okay, the logged in successful message is displayed and I'm on the main activity. Right now if I click on logout, I should be able to go back to the login activity. So let me check by putting wrong email instead of right email. So I'll say because@gmail.com, and I'll put some password. Okay, let me put the password that is not 6 character, and what happens? So it will say password must be 6 character long, and if I put the some password that is more than 6 character and click on login, then we'll see what happens. So it says there is no user. Okay, and it says there is no user, and this spinner keep on running. So it should get hidden once the error message is displayed. Okay, so I'll fix that by setting that inside this else method of our fauth sign in and email password method. So I'll make the progress bar gone, and I'll copy and paste the same thing in register activity after this else. Okay, I'll paste it here and I'll save it, and I'll rerun it, and we'll see it again if it is hiding the progress bar or not. Okay, let me go to the login, and I'll put the right email and wrong password, and we'll see what message is displayed here. So if I click on login, it will say the password is invalid or the user do not have password, and the spinner is gone. Right now I'll set the right password, and I should be able to log in. Yeah, and now if I go to the Firebase console and show you, we'll have the all the users that I have registered here. So let me go to the firebase.google.com. Right, so let me go to console from here. Okay, so this is our app, and go to the authentication. I should be able to see all the users that have registered using the our register activity. So these are the users I have already registered using this. Okay, so you can refresh from here, you can edit, delete, and here you can see we are just using email and password for the our database. Okay, the full name and phone number is not stored here. So to do that, we need to create the unit, we need to use the database. Okay, so that is more advanced. So let me know if you guys want me to create more advanced tutorials on this Firebase. because there is so many things we can implement using the Firebase. So a lot of application is using this Firebase to implement a lot of complex feature in the application. So let me know if you guys want me to create that, how to create and change the data into the user profile, how to create the user profile, add the data, remove the data, and so on. So uh, just comment in the comment box so that I'll get to know if you want me to create the tutorials on that. So that's it guys, this is how we implement the authentication system in Android application using Firebase. So I hope you guys learned something today and have fun. I don't know, my videos are not that much fun because I'm more static rather than dynamic, so I'm still learning to record the videos for you guys. So let me know if you want any more help on this, and you can subscribe and like the video so that I can actually know that I'm helping you guys. And yeah, thank you thank you for watching. I hope to see you in my next videos.